This is just so wrong. Tesla misses delivery estimates as price cuts fail to lure buyers, says Reuters. What estimates are they talking about? The most accurate is usually the Tesla compiled estimate because it involves the most analysts, and we can actually see the actual research firms that participate in these polls. And the actual deliveries were a little bit higher, 422,000, almost 423,000. Clearly a little bit above the consensus. Not by much, but just by a little bit. Maybe they used FactSet data, for example, which was at 430,000 deliveries. But this was posted on March 27th. The Tesla compiled estimate came a few days after that. And really, there was no good reason to lower your estimates. Maybe you could have increased them a little bit, if anything. So yeah, that FactSet data is not very good then. There are only two sources that I would really trust. Number one is the Tesla compiled consensus, and number two would be the Bloomberg consensus if you don't trust the Tesla data and you think, oh, maybe Tesla's going to do something shady. So let's see what they're saying. They are blaming the economy, and they're saying that the price cuts did not work, basically. And okay, they are quoting this data. I have no idea how many analysts participated in this survey, and were they cherry picked, or were these all of the analysts out there? Obviously, it could not be all of the analysts out there because it doesn't match the Tesla data. And also, most importantly, this does not match at all with the Bloomberg survey, which was at 421,000 expected deliveries. Looking back at the Tesla compiled estimate, this was actually about 400 vehicles higher. So Bloomberg had a slightly lower consensus estimate. The Tesla compiled estimate was posted on March 30th. Not really good reporting this time from Reuters, unfortunately. Reuters just updated the title of this article. Tesla misses delivery estimates as weak economy overshadows price cuts, now says Reuters. A much better title, but still horrible, because I don't think that Tesla missed delivery estimates. I would be somewhat okay with this report if they also included the Tesla compiled consensus as well. I know they may not want to include the Bloomberg consensus because they are competing against that, but the Tesla consensus, I think, should have been posted in there, and then they should have just said, oh, our estimate is different from the Tesla estimate, but they are not doing that, which makes me think that they don't have as many analysts in their estimate, which would make it not as accurate. And here's where Reuters got their data. Any data coming from that in the future, be skeptical. Double check it with Bloomberg data. So going forward, if you don't have any other estimates and this is your only source, okay, go with that. But then just understand, likely there's a good chance it's not going to be as accurate as Bloomberg data would be. Oh, actually, they just updated the article a little bit. So this is the previous article. Tesla misses delivery estimates as weak economy overshadows price cuts. And now it is Tesla posts record deliveries. A little bit more positive, but misses estimates as competition weighs. But no updates about the consensus or anything like that. Interestingly, they quoted an analyst that does not really agree with their consensus. I found that to be hilarious. They quoted Gene Munster right here talking about price cuts. And then Gene on Twitter explains that Tesla actually hit the consensus numbers. Gene is not very happy with the 36% year-over-year growth compared to Q1 of last year, but he expects that other automakers will also report soft numbers for the whole quarter, making Tesla's numbers look better. To me personally, this right here is the most interesting part about this time. This is the largest Q1 growth over previous Q4 in history for Tesla. It's not a crazy number, but it certainly looks better than the previous numbers. And last year, people were happy with 2022 Q1 deliveries, and that was just 0.5% over Q4. Looking at the delivery numbers, however, specifically at the S and X, these sales were quite low, but the Model 3 and Y sales were pretty strong. If the number that you were expecting was a higher number, if you add 6,000 Model S and X sales, check if you would be happy with that number then. Perhaps yes, many would be quite happy then. I will talk more about the Model S and X later. Looking at everyone's reactions to this, I wouldn't call it really a beat in terms of expectations. I would say it's within expectations, or if we call it a beat, I think we should say it was a small beat. But clearly it beat the previous delivery record by about 17,500. Roland has some of the best charts as always. The growth looks pretty good to me. Gary Black is pretty happy with the deliveries, and he's saying that the inventory has increased a little bit, although the metric that Gary is using is not going to be completely accurate because he is using days of inventory outstanding, which requires cost of goods sold, and we don't know what the cost of goods sold are yet. We will know once we have numbers for Q1 earnings and revenues and expenses and everything, but right now we don't know yet. If you are trying to calculate the inventory, you should use the days of inventory number instead, which does not require cost of goods sold. The inventory seems fine to me, so nothing to worry about here. Although we will talk more about the Model S and X, that's a little bit different. But so far, Tesla has produced and delivered over 4 million vehicles as of today. And we have retail estimates here as well. James was at 419,000. Gary Black. Troy was 427. James, there are two of them. This one is the cat. Was at 430,000. Rob Mauer from Tesla Daily was at 433,000 almost. Alexandra Mers was at 437,500. And Emmett Peppers was at 440,000, which I mentioned before. I thought that was pretty high. And Ross did get this one quite, let's say, not right. It was nowhere close to 500,000. If you remember, that prediction from Ross absolutely stunned me. I thought yeah. Christian predicted 422,000 on Cyberbulls. He was the one arguing with Ross Gerber in that video that I made where Ross predicted 500,000 deliveries. So big shout out to Christian. Well done. Well done. And here's one more graph from Roland. I find this one very interesting. As you can see, that deliveries continue to grow. Now, the inventory right here, that seems maybe slightly misleading on a chart like this, because you would think that maybe it matches 500,000 almost here, but no, for inventory, you have to look on the right side. And I think it might be better if these were scaled to this year, then you would have a very simple comparison. James thinks that tomorrow the stock will do pretty much nothing, as expectations were not beat or missed really. Although some certainly think that it will drop quite a bit. I can't find any people really that think it would go up a lot, but I do see quite a few people saying it may drop, so we'll see. Gary also thinks that the stock will basically do nothing tomorrow. I also sometimes see people bashing electric, but I mean, their reporting is pretty positive. I would say Tesla confirms new record deliveries and beats expectations. They didn't even say a small beat, they just said beat, which is of course technically definitely true. But the thing that will really matter will be the earnings. What are the margins? That is what everyone is thinking about at Wall Street. And to understand the real growth that we are experiencing currently, I think this chart is the number one chart. It shows trailing 12 months, and we are at 1.426 million currently. Pretty good. And if we analyze the current production, we would get almost 1.7 million vehicles already. So we just need to grow a little bit more next quarter, and the next quarter after that, and the next quarter after that. Just a little bit more, not even by much. Rob posted quarterly deliveries of Q1 only, all the way from 2013 to 2023. Almost a 100x increase from 2013 to 2023. And James here has some really good insights. The narrative that a 20% price cut only led to an increase of 4% quarter over quarter is pure ignorance, he says. It wasn't really a 20% cut. Most people in Q4 were on backlog, meaning they had lower prices from before. And he thinks, because of that, the average selling price will only decline by about 6 to 7% quarter over quarter. And also, this ignores seasonality. Dan Ives is also pretty happy. He says margins, we believe, held the line, and that will be a core investor focus with earnings release on April 19th. Overall, a solid number to be digested well by Wall Street. And I'll talk more about the Model S and X in the next video. And Troy calculated the inventory number measured in days of supply. He says that the inventory is now 90,000 units, which is about 16 days of supply at the end of Q1, which is a good number compared to all other automakers, which have much higher numbers. Some of them are over 60 days. And this is the Tesla stock buying opportunity explained by Elon Musk. My name is Matt Post. Just like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.